Her scream echoed through the crowded bar as 50 strangers witnessed her text messages with my best friend projected on the wall. "Jackson is clueless. We can keep this going even after they move in together." The entire bar fell silent as Emma's secret Tinder messages filled the 120-inch projection screen. Her face went pale. Ryan froze mid-sip of his beer. Our friend's jaws dropped in perfect unison. The messages were undeniable. "Can't wait for tomorrow while he's at his conference. Miss your body already." That's when Emma screamed. A raw, primal sound of someone whose carefully constructed double life was crumbling in front of everyone who mattered. She lunged for my laptop, but it was too late. The truth was displayed in 4K resolution for everyone to see. My girlfriend of 2 years and my best friend since college had been sleeping together behind my back for months. I'm Jackson, and this is how I discovered, survived, and ultimately thrived after the two people I trusted most conspired to betray me in the most intimate way possible. Buckle up, because what happened next changed everything. Let me rewind to when I thought I had it all. Emma burst into my life during a charity event at Millennium Park, all wild curls and infectious laugh. Not just beautiful, but brilliant. A barista with detailed business plans for her future cafe chain sketched in a worn leather journal she carried everywhere. Our connection was instant and electric. On our third date, I knew she was different when she blindfolded me, drove 2 hours, and revealed a secret waterfall picnic she'd arranged with every detail perfectly aligned to my tastes. "No one's ever put this much thought into understanding me," I told her. She kissed me and whispered, "Get used to it." For her birthday, I created a custom coffee blend with flavors that reminded me of her. Bright, complex, and unexpectedly warm. When I gave her the package with our inside jokes printed on it, she cried real tears. At least, I thought they were real. By our 1-year mark, we were practically married. I spent 2 months' rent on a professional espresso machine she'd been dreaming about. When she opened it, she jumped into my arms, sobbing that I was her forever person, the only one who truly believed in her dreams. The look in her eyes, I would have bet my life it was genuine. The emerald ring sat in my sock drawer, waiting for our Michigan trip where I planned to propose at sunset. Her parents already called me son. My sister called her for advice instead of me. And Ryan? He'd become so close to Emma that we'd joke they were the real couple. Turns out the joke was on me. Would you ever suspect the woman who leaves you encouraging notes before your presentations of having an active dating profile? The woman who knows exactly how you take your coffee of secretly meeting strangers while you're at work? The first red flag waved when Emma suddenly became glued to her phone, password protected for the first time in our relationship. Then came the late shifts at the cafe that her coworkers knew nothing about. Once, I stopped by with her favorite curry, only to learn she'd left hours earlier. That night she came home with slightly smudged lipstick and unfamiliar cologne lingering on her jacket. When I mentioned visiting the cafe, her eyes widened momentarily before she smoothly explained a surprise district meeting across town. The lie flowed so naturally I questioned my own suspicions. And through it all, Ryan was my confidant. Over beers, I'd express my growing unease, and he'd expertly dismiss my concerns. "Emma's crazy about you, man," he'd assure me with that brotherly conviction that made me trust him implicitly. "She's just stressed about work. You know how she gets." When I finally confronted Emma, she flipped the script with Oscar-worthy precision. Her eyes welled up on command as she accused me of suffocating her with my trust issues. She referenced my parents' divorce, suggesting I was projecting their failed relationship onto us. By the end of that conversation, I found myself apologizing to her, promising to work on my issues, even offering to see a therapist for my insecurities. Masterfully played. But fate had other plans, and sometimes betrayal reveals itself in the most unexpected ways. It was an unseasonably warm April evening. Emma was taking one of her marathon showers. 45 minutes had become her new normal. We had reservations at that new West Loop restaurant she'd been talking about for weeks. Her phone sat unlocked on our coffee table, a rare occurrence these days. When it lit up, my world shattered in 5 seconds flat. "You have 5 new matches on Tinder," popped up, immediately followed by a message preview. New message from Ryan. "Can't wait for tomorrow while he's at his conference. Miss your body already." The room tilted sideways. Blood rushed to my ears. My stomach clenched so violently I thought I might be having a heart attack. This wasn't just any betrayal. This was a coordinated deception by the 2 people I trusted most in the world. With shaking hands, I picked up her phone, still hoping for some innocent explanation. But reality rarely offers such mercies. Her Tinder profile featured photos I'd never seen, provocative poses in outfits I didn't recognize, taken in locations we'd never visited together. Her bio cut through me like a knife. Emma, 24. Here for a good time while it lasts. What my boyfriend doesn't know won't hurt him, right? I barely made it to the kitchen sink before my body violently rejected this new reality. The shower continued running. I had minutes, not hours. Choosing evidence over immediate confrontation, I began screenshot everything, sending it to my phone like a man possessed. What I found destroyed any remaining doubt. Emma had 36 active matches and was juggling conversations with 8 different men, arranging hookups, exchanging explicit photos, and worst of all, complaining about her clueless boyfriend, who was too nice and too boring, but useful for now. But Ryan's thread was the killing blow. Hundreds of messages spanning 4 months. He suspects nothing, LOL. Told him I was working late again. Just act normal at poker night. He totally bought our story about the gym. Can't believe how easy this is. Sometimes I feel bad for the poor guy. Don't. He's too simple to handle someone like you anyway. They'd coordinated alibis, laughed at my obliviousness, even discussed continuing their affair after Emma and I moved in together. There were intimate details that made me physically ill, inside jokes at my expense, and calculated plans to keep me in the dark indefinitely. The water shut off just as I finished sending myself the evidence. I placed her phone exactly where it had been and retreated to the kitchen, fighting the urge to vomit again as I heard her humming cheerfully. Emma emerged in her bathrobe, hair wrapped in a towel, looking exactly like the woman I thought I loved. "Hey, babe, can you zip me up when I'm dressed?" she asked casually, planting a kiss on my cheek before grabbing her phone and heading to the bedroom, completely unaware that her double life had just been exposed. Through some superhuman feat, I maintained my composure through dinner that night. I opened doors, made small talk, even managed to laugh at her jokes while my mind raced with the knowledge that nothing between us had ever been real. But instead of collapsing into tears or launching into accusations, something shifted inside me. A cold clarity replaced my initial shock. The old Jackson would have begged for explanations. The new one wanted justice. Not revenge, but truth. As Emma slept soundly beside me that night, I formulated a plan that would ensure neither she nor Ryan could rewrite this story. By morning, my path was clear, and it led directly to the most public revelation they could imagine. 24 hours after discovering the truth, I stood in Benchmark, Chicago's busiest sports bar, connecting my laptop to their massive projection system. Dave, the manager and my college acquaintance, had given us the semi-private back area, typically reserved for fantasy football drafts and championship games. "You sure about this, man?" Dave asked, eyeing my expressionless face with concern. "More sure than I've been about anything in 2 years," I replied, testing the presentation one final time. My 3 trusted friends arrived first, sensing something significant, but respecting my request to wait. Emma texted that she was running late, a familiar excuse that now carried obvious implications. Ryan arrived punctually, embracing me with a brotherly hug. "So tonight's the night, huh?" he whispered, referring to the engagement he knew I'd been planning. The audacity nearly broke my composure, but I simply nodded and said, "Something like that." Emma arrived flushed and apologetic about traffic. She kissed me in front of everyone, then exchanged what I now recognized as a loaded glance with Ryan before greeting our other friends. We ordered drinks and appetizers, making casual conversation while I waited for my moment. At precisely 9 p.m., I stood as if to make a toast. The background music in our section lowered, Dave's touch, as all eyes turned to me. "First, thank you all for coming tonight," I began, my voice steadier than I expected. "You're here because you're the people I care about most, people I trust, people I thought supported me." Emma smiled expectantly. Ryan raised his beer in encouragement. Neither suspected what was coming. "I did have big news to share," I continued, pulling out the ring box and placing it on the table. Emma's eyes widened with genuine surprise, the first honest reaction I'd seen from her in months. "But plans change when you discover the truth about the people you love." I nodded to Dave, who activated the projection system. The first slide filled the massive screen, Emma's Tinder profile in all its glory. Gasps echoed around our table as Emma's face drained of color. Heads from nearby tables turned to witness the unfolding drama. "This is my girlfriend Emma's active Tinder profile," I explained calmly. "Created 4 months ago with 36 matches and 8 ongoing conversations with different men." I clicked to the next slide, her conversation with a random match planning a hookup. "This is Emma arranging to meet a stranger for sex in our apartment while I was scheduled to be at a work conference." Another click. The exchange between Emma and Ryan that had initially appeared on her phone. "And this is my best friend Ryan, who's been sleeping with my girlfriend for at least 4 months, carefully coordinating their alibis and laughing about how oblivious I am." The final slides showed their messages discussing their future plans, mocking me, sharing intimate details that left no room for denial. The silence was deafening. Other patrons had stopped their conversations to watch. Emma started crying, mascara creating black rivers down her cheeks. Ryan stood abruptly, looking for an escape. "Sit down." The steel in my voice surprised even me. He complied immediately. "I don't want explanations or apologies," I continued. "This isn't a conversation. This is me informing you both and our friends exactly who you are. People deserve to know the truth." I placed 2 envelopes on the table. "Emma, I've paid next month's rent. Your belongings are packed in labeled boxes in the spare room. The key is in this envelope, along with the name of a moving company I've paid to help you." I turned to Ryan. "I've removed you as my emergency contact, canceled our gym membership, and retrieved my spare key from your apartment this afternoon. We're done in every possible way." Emma found her voice, though it trembled pathetically. "Jackson, please, this isn't what it looks like. I made a mistake, but I love you. It didn't mean anything." Ryan tried next. "Bro, I was drunk most of those times. It just happened. You know I'd never intentionally hurt you." Their predictable, hollow excuses only reinforced my decision. I looked at them both with what I realized was genuine pity. "The saddest part is that I would have done anything for either of you. I trusted you completely." To our stunned friends, I added, "I'm sorry you had to witness this, but I wanted the truth to come out once, clearly, with no room for revisionist history." As I gathered my jacket and laptop, I offered them a final thought. "I genuinely hope you both find whatever you're looking for. It clearly wasn't loyalty, honesty, or respect." The walk out of that bar was the longest and shortest of my life. Behind me, I could hear Emma sobbing hysterically, and Ryan arguing with our friends, who had begun questioning them mercilessly. The cool Chicago night embraced me as I stepped outside, taking my first truly free breath in months. In that moment, I understood something profound. Sometimes the most powerful response to betrayal isn't revenge, it's simply revealing the truth and walking away with your dignity intact. The first week after my public revelation was a blur of conflicting emotions. Moments of empowerment and relief would suddenly give way to crushing waves of grief. I'd wake up reaching for Emma, only to remember she'd never really been who I thought she was. The anger phase hit like a freight train. I invested in a heavy bag for my new apartment and pounded it until my knuckles bled through the wraps. I'd visualize their faces, their messages, their lies, each punch an attempt to expel the poison they'd injected into my life. Depression followed with paralyzing efficiency. There were days when showering felt like climbing Everest, when eating seemed pointless, when my phone's constant buzzing with supportive messages from friends felt like an intrusion rather than comfort. The questions tormented me. Had I been that blind, or were they that good at deception? Was there something fundamentally unlovable about me that drove her to seek fulfillment elsewhere? Had any moment of our relationship been genuine, or was it all an elaborate performance? What ultimately saved me wasn't time, it was action. I found a therapist who specialized in betrayal trauma. Dr. Melissa helped me understand that their behavior reflected their character defects, not my worth. She helped me identify the subtle manipulation tactics Emma had employed, the gaslighting, the projection, the blame shifting that had me constantly apologizing for imaginary offenses. Notice how when you expressed concern about her late nights, she accused you of being controlling, Dr. Melissa pointed out. That's projection, attributing her own dishonesty to you to distract from her behavior. These insights were like lights switching on in a darkened room. I hadn't been crazy or paranoid. I'd been picking up on genuine inconsistencies that my trust in her had forced me to dismiss. Parallel to therapy, I channeled my pain into transformation. I joined an axe-throwing league where the satisfying thunk of metal embedding in wood became strangely therapeutic. I enrolled in professional development courses I'd been putting off. I reconnected with friends who'd drifted to the periphery during my relationship. The most unexpected healing came from volunteering with a youth mentorship program in my neighborhood. Helping teenagers navigate their challenges gave me perspective beyond my own pain and reminded me that my capacity for trust and care hadn't been destroyed, just temporarily misplaced. 6 months after the bar confrontation, my company promoted me to creative director, complete with a corner office and team of my own. The substantial raise allowed me to move into a high-rise with the skyline view Emma had always talked about wanting. I adopted a rescue dog, a one-eyed pit bull mix named Champion that Emma would have vetoed as too much responsibility. The healing wasn't linear. Setbacks ambushed me when I least expected, like running into them together at a concert, or when a new dating prospect exhibited a behavior that triggered memories of Emma's deception. But each time I stumbled, I recovered more quickly. Dating again was its own challenge. My first attempts were disasters. I questioned every text message, grew suspicious at the slightest schedule change, and generally projected Emma's behavior onto innocent women. But with time and self-awareness, I learned to carry the lessons without transferring the trauma. A year after everything imploded, I received a long email from Emma. She explained that she and Ryan had broken up within weeks. Apparently, neither could trust the other. Imagine that. She detailed how her life had spiraled. She'd lost friends, changed jobs, even moved cities. She ended with what seemed like a genuine apology and a request to meet for closure. I never responded. Some doors are meant to stay closed. The most profound realization came gradually. Their betrayal, excruciating as it was, had ultimately set me free. Without that painful revelation, I might have married someone incapable of honesty, built a life on a foundation of lies, perhaps even raised children in that toxic environment. Instead, I was forced to rebuild on a foundation of self-respect and authenticity. I'd discovered resilience I never knew I possessed and wisdom I couldn't have gained any other way. Here's what betrayal taught me that nothing else could. Trust your intuition. That inexplicable uneasiness when someone's words and actions don't align? It's your subconscious processing patterns your conscious mind misses. How someone responds to your concerns reveals everything. When you express insecurity, and they respond with defensiveness, blame, or making it about them, that's a warning sign. Trustworthy people welcome transparency. Manipulators punish it. Your worth isn't determined by someone else's ability to recognize it. Emma and Ryan's betrayal wasn't evidence of my inadequacy. It was proof of their moral bankruptcy. And if you're watching this because you're walking through your own version of betrayal hell, remember, surviving betrayal isn't just about existing afterward. It's about reclaiming your power to define what happens next. The story doesn't end with their betrayal. It continues with your resurrection. What began as a devastating discovery transformed into the most powerful catalyst for growth I've ever experienced. I learned that genuine happiness comes from living authentically according to your own values, not from trying to earn loyalty from people incapable of providing it. Today, I'm not afraid of vulnerability or commitment. I've just become better at identifying who deserves access to my trust. Real love doesn't leave you constantly verifying, explaining, or apologizing for normal human emotions. The unexpected gift in all this? I like the person I've become through this fire much better than the person I was before. More resilient, more discerning, more compassionate, both with others and with myself. And the most satisfying epilogue? According to mutual friends, Emma and Ryan's relationship imploded spectacularly within weeks. Apparently, someone who helps you cheat makes for an untrustworthy partner. Who could have predicted such a shocking twist? Have you experienced betrayal from someone you completely trusted? How did you handle it? Did it change how you approach relationships now? Share your experience in the comments. Your story might be exactly what someone else needs to hear today. If this resonated with you, hit subscribe to join our community of people navigating life's complicated relationships with honesty and self-respect. Next week, I'll share the 5 warning signs of deception I completely missed, red flags that might save someone else from a similar experience. Remember, sometimes losing what you thought you wanted leads you directly to what you actually need. The most painful endings often precede the most authentic beginnings. Your betrayal story doesn't define you, but how you rise afterward absolutely does.